One of my most divisive videos in my channel's catalog is the What Happened to Aespa video I released in early 2023. Well over a year and a half has passed, and there isn't a week that goes by that I don't at least once think, damn, I shouldn't have made that video. If there were two videos that I could scrub from my channel's history, it would be What Happened to Aespa and Why I Stopped Standing Blackpink. Those two videos are just, man. What Happened to Aespa, or what I have referenced since the Aespa video, having my worst like to dislike ratio in my entire channel's history, even worse than the Why I Stopped Standing Blackpink video, surprisingly enough. We can attribute a lot of the negative attention that video got from the rampant Twitter and Reddit stans who flooded to that video from the attention it got on both of those platforms, garnering a good amount of backlash formed from misconceptions and, at times, even straight-up lies spread about the video and its contents. I had to turn the comments off, which, if you've been with this channel, you would know I don't do that, due to a severe lack of actual constructive criticism aimed towards me in the comments. I'm not a soft guy. I can take your insults. I've played 5,000 hours of League of Legends. I've heard much worse. But I draw the line when viewers who want to provide constructive discourse end up getting dogpiled on by these rabid fans who want to blindly defend their idols like they're some sort of hive mind. There were Mize who came from those Twitter threads and Reddit threads, went to my video, watched it all the way through, and would tell me, I don't understand why you're getting backlash for this video. It's a reasonable criticism. These individuals were then swarmed feverishly by toxic Mize who had no tolerance for constructive criticism. Even when all of my complaints were aimed strictly at SM, in Toxic Myland, that's a roundabout way of pointing arrows at Aespa. The only aspect of the members that I criticized in that video was their lackadaisical stage presence at the time, which since then has improved dramatically. Quick little side tangent on that topic, their stage presence has taken leaps and bounds. I wouldn't call them the best performers of the fourth generation, they are far from it, but they are far improved from what they were in early 2023. It's actually night and day. They still aren't the best dancers with the choreos they are given, but when it comes to pure aura they give off on stage, they're looking more like prime Super Vegeta compared to early 2023 and Saiyan Saga Vegeta. I will make any excuse to fit Vegeta in these videos. I love him. He is the best side character in fiction. One specific member has been on a tear recently, and that's Winter. Yes, I am blatantly biased. She's literally in my YouTube banner. She is my old bias. I dressed up as one of her outfits from the Whiplash promos. By the way, I am going to an Aespa concert in February. I will be taking recommendations on who I should dress up for that concert. I already have an idea. I think it's going to be this winter outfit, but if you still have a suggestion, please leave it down below. That MMA 2024 performance with the short blonde bob and the evil marching band outfit was fucking impeccable. Winter seems to have modes when she's performing, and one of those modes is like smug, cocky, badass Winter, and that's just, it's so good. In 2023, I harped on their lackluster stage presence, but in 2024, they have taken monumental strides, and that needs to be commended. That takes hours of repetition and practice to master. Stage presence doesn't just change overnight. So shout out to them for that. I still think their performances need backup dancers to add volume. A lot of their choreos require that to look cool to me, but there are very rare occasions where that doesn't happen. So, side tangent aside, essentially all of my criticisms in that What Happened to Aespa video are aimed primarily at SM. My largest frustration lying in the fact that Aespa essentially had a near year-long hiatus, allowing for other prominent fourth-generation girl groups to take Aespa's place amongst the hierarchy. At the time, groups like New Jeans were surpassing Aespa in monthly listener counts and charting, growing exponentially amongst the scene, and Aespa was just kind of left in the dust. They released an, I'll admit, very good OST for the Tetris movie, did some variety show content, but that was basically it. We just didn't get much as fans from Aespa for nearly a year. This coming off of the heels of a failed Western promotion with Girls and Life's Too Short. Now, in hindsight, we can argue they don't need the Western market. They have Chinese and Japanese markets to rely on, and they have very, very strong audiences in both. But to this day, it is befuddling how SM have handled Aespa's promotions in the West, primarily during their first year as a group. Remember, they promoted their first mini-album, Savage, and performed it on the Nick Cannon show. I'm not even fucking joking. With the girls' promotions, it wasn't much better. They gave off a very lackluster Good Morning America performance. I attribute that to the fact that the girls' choreo is just so bland without backup dancers. But they didn't pick up steam in the West like I was hoping they would. And since then, SM has abandoned marketing them aggressively in America since. Wrapping all of that up to say, in preparation for this video, before I released it, which was a month before, I started making it in early March and I released it in late April, I was genuinely upset as a fan at the way SM was promoting Aespa and handling their promotions in comparison to some of their male groups. I mentioned in that video how Aespa had to wait nearly 3 years to have their first live solo concert. Rise got one in under a year. I even had some Mize defend SM with that, saying 3 years isn't that long of a time, that's normal for K-pop groups. No, it is not. No, it is not. This video is full of emotional honesty, because back then, Aespa was one of my favorite groups at the time. Since then, they've ascended those ranks even more. I would say they are a top 5 group for me of all time at the moment. So what you heard in that video was an upset fan concerned with the way one of his favorite groups was being handled. And so many toxic Mize missed the point entirely. And in the fallout of that video, I wasn't upset that the fans who had watched misinterpreted what I was saying. I was upset that their first actions after misinterpreting what I said was to claim that I hated the group and I wanted them to fail. That seems to be the first thing K-pop fans run to when they disagree with someone's criticism on a group. You want them to fail. You hate the members. I am the last person on this planet that hates Aespa or the members. I have spent well over $250 on albums alone, not to mention the gargantuan photocard collection I have of them. I have so many winter photocards that I physically ran out of room and I had to start stacking them on my desk. I just dropped almost $300 on tickets to go see them in February. For that Aespa-themed Halloween costume this year, I had my cousin 3D print me nails and I even dyed my hair black. I have their 2024 Season's Greetings proudly displayed in my room as soon as you walk in. It reads, dreamlike, angelic, and a little bit of giggle girl's time. The fuck does that even mean? I don't know, still bought it anyway. My channel logo and banner are inspired by the savage era of Aespa. What are we even talking about? I am 10 times the fan you are. Do not come into my comments and say I'm a fake fan or I hate the group. Sorry for that emotionally charged, unhinged rant, but I really dislike it when people watch that singular video, misinterpret my point completely, and then say I hate the group or I want them to fail. I want the complete opposite. There isn't a single artist in 2024 who I consumed music more of than Aespa. Spoiler alert, Aespa is my artist of the year in 2024 for K-pop. I genuinely love this group. I love their concept, I love their music, I love the members. SM absolutely struck gold with this group, and I'm happy that they got their heads out of their asses and started to promote this group properly. Aespa is the breadwinner of your company, and you should be treating them as such. SM was like, hey, we have these insanely attractive, talented vocalists with a cool concept, maybe we should start giving them consistent comebacks. Oh my god, what a thought! Only took you 3 years to give them a full-length album. If I would have been managing this group, they would have had a fucking Grammy by now. That's a joke. I don't know how to manage a K-pop group. I'm sorry. When it comes to me releasing that video in early 2023, hindsight is always 2020, and when I released it, my foresight was 2200. That is a self-inflicting joke with layers. I actually have 2200 vision. I'm on the cusp of being legally blind without my glasses or contacts in. I'm also colorblind. Do with that information what you will. That video is the definition of poorly timed. They would drop Spicy not even a month later, which would break records with its sales. To this day, My World is their highest selling album by well over 500,000. It was an absolute grand slam success of a comeback, and it was like fate just hated me. And I'm gonna be honest, I kind of crashed out. I was not having a great time after that video released. For about 2 to 3 months after that video released, I couldn't even listen to Aespa, like any of their music. If Spotify decided to pull a cruel prank on me and shuffle over to Salty and Sweet, I would immediately picture what was being said about me on Twitter and Reddit and in my own comments. It was a bad time. I became the one thing I never wanted to become on this channel, which was a villain. Not to the entire fan base, but to a portion of it. And that really destroyed me because I wanted to be a content creator that people could look up to and extend my hand to all communities and try to be as non-toxic and friendly as possible while providing constructive criticism. And to a lot of people, I wasn't that. And I can't really change their mind on that, but in the words of Aespa, I became a hot mess after that video's release. Ironically, that video went against beliefs I had going into that video and also since that video. I'm someone who's very patient with how artists release their music, and if companies take a long time to release music with an artist. Some of my favorite Western artists like Kendrick Lamar, Denzel Curry, Vince Staples, Tyler the Creator, these are artists that take, upwards of 2 to 3 years to release a new record under their label. And I'm always patient with their releases. I'm not banging on the door, screaming, Tyler, where's the next project? I mentioned this very thing in that What Happened to Aespa video, but in that video, my reasoning behind essentially setting that frame of mind aside is this is K-pop, this is a bullet train, it's faster, you need to keep up with it. But I hadn't taken into account that K-pop had literally trained me as a music listener to respond to release windows that way. So when Aespa takes 10 to 11 months to release, I'm going to be upset because typically they take 5 to 6 months to release. Throughout that video, I say that K-pop is this bullet train that you can't hop off of or you're going to be left in the dust, and I still think that analogy holds some truth, but with Aespa it certainly doesn't. If anything, the train allowed Aespa to hop back on and then move up to first class, basically just direct the damn thing. I do think Aespa defied the odds set by their own company. Aespa are the most successful 4th generation girl group out right now, but back when I made that video, there were other girl groups like New Jeans, like LE SSERAFIM, like 50/50, and some others that were at that Aespa level or starting to lap Aespa. And yes, I know Aespa had their achievements. They had good album sales, good comeback reception. Next Level was a massive explosion. They basically sold out the Tokyo Dome. And all of that certainly matters. But I'm also someone who's on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter and Reddit all day. And I wasn't hearing about Aespa in comparison to New Jeans and 50/50. I was hearing about Cupid. I was hearing about Ditto. I was hearing about Anti-Fragile. But that's a very isolated, narrow frame of reference. I was just taking into account what I was seeing on the internet and not what everyone else was, and unfortunately that went into my decision to make this video. While this video was made in earnest, at the end of the day, I do not think it was well crafted or good analysis on my part, subjective or objective. Just like my Why I Stopped Standing Blackpink video, it was more emotion. This time it was more researched emotion, but emotion nonetheless. I made that mistake and I got punished for it on Twitter and Reddit, and honestly, looking back at it, that's just a lesson I have to learn. It's the reason the video is still up. I never took it down because I use these videos as a frame of reference as to where I have come. I use them as learning devices moving forward. I see that Aespa video and I say, I'm not going to make that same mistake again. I'm not going to sit here and try to make a premonition about what's happening with the group and say, oh, they're failing because they haven't come back in 11 months. I'm not going to do that again. Content creators are human beings too. We learn and we grow just like you viewers. And I think the most powerful thing that we can do as content creators is reflect on these mistakes and moving forward provide better, more well-informed content for our audiences. 2023 Taeju would have seen their recent album sales and started panicking, right? Since My World, they've actually gone down in album sales. Drama had 1.3 million copies, Armageddon steadily rose to 1.4, but then Whiplash had a mere 1 million copies as of me recording this. The logical reason behind this is buyer fatigue, which is a common thing we are seeing throughout all of K-pop, not just Aespa. But whereas 2023 Taeju would have been in a panic, I'm sitting here calm and collected. Aespa nearly became the first group since BTS to sweep the 2024 Melon Music Award Daesung. The only one they didn't win was Record of the Year, which went to Idol. This group has become a resounding success for SM. I'm extremely excited to see them in February and highly anticipate their releases to come. I became a punching bag for a minute part of a very large fandom for a very short amount of time. And while I do think Toxic Mice have swiftly become the new version of Blinks, I do think the overall fandom is very dedicated and passionate SM typically tends to cultivate very strong, loyal fandoms with very, very large purchasing power. If we want to answer the question, what happened to Aespa, it's pretty simple. Since I made that video, they became one of the most decorated girl groups in history, have released successful project after successful project, had an uber successful concert tour and are going on another one, and have undoubtedly become the most popular girl group in the fourth generation. Some people have asked me, why are you so harsh on Aespa? Why do you seem to critique them more than praise them if you're such a big fan? And the answer to that is simple. We always hold things that we love to a very high standard. We expect our cherished sports teams to win games, for our family members to stay healthy and do well in school, for Riot to just release one fucking champion on launch that isn't completely overtuned. That is always why I tend to critique Aespa before I praise them. Because with an album like Armageddon, I know they can do better. I saw it with my own eyes. All 4 members are immensely talented, and for that, I hold them to a very high standard. It is a standard that many other girl groups do not reach. Why? It's because I respect the group. I still don't think they've reached their peak as a group yet. Even after this MMAs and them basically sweeping everything, I still think there's more awards for them to win and more popularity and success for them to achieve. Musically, I think they're just scratching the surface with their concept, and I hope SM can continue their trend with Whiplash and give them more cohesive projects with better album rollouts. And in the meantime, give them plenty of ample rest. Where you all see a group that is dominating the charts on top of their game, this is the best they can be, I see great potential for even better, which is why every video I have made since that 2023 video exclusively talking about Aespa has been longer than 40 minutes, because I have so much to say about this group. I just wish that the people who ran to my video from Twitter and Reddit understood that passion. Just because I critique a little bit of their stage presence and production and vocal tonality doesn't mean I hate the group. Doesn't make me your enemy. The toxic stans who saw that video and decided to travel into my Insta DMs and message me terrible things and email me death threats, that's not helping Aespa sell more albums or do better on the charts. That's just demeaning someone because you don't agree with their opinions. I'm through with making predictions with K-pop. Okay, my track record is awful. Look, I ended up being wrong about a lot of stuff. I own that. I understand what I did wrong. But at the end of the day, that wasn't a bad thing. I'm happy that I was wrong.